Rockin' Pat here. Alright guys, well I had a little bit of a request for a update on what's going on around the shop here from our buddy Andy up there at Andy's doghouse. He's probably pretty bored taking care of his wife and everything, no YouTube. And I have to admit, there hasn't been a whole lot of YouTube videos here lately. So I got some Yukon Gold going on here on the TV today. If you ain't seen Yukon Gold, that's pretty cool. But if you really like something, go check out YouTube Gold. And boys are doing the gold mining with RC car or trucks and tractors and excavators and bulldozers and all that, all RC. All right, let's see what I got going on here in the shop today. This is a, I don't know, 2000 or something like that, Avalon. Yesterday, I pulled out the transmission to replace this chowdered up flex plate. And yes, that's a flex plate, not a flywheel. Flywheels are on standard transmission. Flex plates are on automatics. You got to take this whole subframe out, hang the transmission and the engine with a cradle up top, and then pop it apart. Kind of lazy today. Didn't feel like finishing it. I don't have to have this out of here till Tuesday. Today's Saturday. So yeah, call it what it is. Got a few parts laying over here on the ground for the tractor. Got an overrun clutch there. Got a new grill for it. Drive shaft for my auger. New air cleaner tube. That's a the right hand crank level for the 3-point. I do have a new one on there. They broke that, so I got another one sent to me. And I got a new air cleaner for it that I got to put on sometime this week. That's what's going on there. The 39's back here in the back again. And the stupid ass squirrels are already piling in the back end of it full of the damn pecan tree pecans. I'm gonna have to do something about that. Maybe put some squirrel bait out and everything. There's the boom from a tractor. Let's go this way. Let's go see what else I got going on. I kind of ran into a problem with my property up there, and I'll tell you about that in a second. Just so you know, next weekend's Memorial Day weekend. This car goes in the shop, and Monday I'll have a bolt-in cross member for a Mustang 2 front end that I'm putting in this next weekend. So y'all stay tuned for that. Tractor-wise, I put a new PTO shaft in it that takes it from a 1 1/8 inch shaft to a 1 3/8 inch shaft that allows me to use the modern stuff and everything. Other than that, I really haven't done too much to it. I don't think I've done anything other than I did put that crank arm on it. I did that yesterday or the day before. I don't remember when it was. So let's talk about this auger I got right here. Now, that's a 12-inch auger bit. It's a pretty heavy-duty auger. I picked that up outside of Houston in a place called Waller, and I gave $250 for this auger, which everybody else, the minimum I've seen them were $500. Now, the only problem with it was that it didn't have a drive shaft. So that's what that drive shaft's for in there, is I needed a drive shaft for this auger. That drive shaft only cost me $110 delivered. So I thought that was a pretty good deal. So let's talk about what I got going on up there at Leggett. I bought this auger, and I had been up there finishing up digging my trench for my my water line, and I want to take my tractor up there. Well, the old boy that owns the property next door, well, he moved out of the place due to the fact that somebody broke into his house in the middle of the night, and he found him in his refrigerator, and I don't know why he wasn't dead and buried out back, but whatever. I mean, you break into my house and I don't care if I got to machete you up into pieces and stick you in the freezer, but you're not coming out somehow, some way. And on top of it, he never even called the cops. He just packed his stuff up and moved. Well, that leaves the whole property, his and mine, completely unsecure because nobody's there. Well, the day after Easter, I went and picked up this auger, and I had seen where Tractor Supply had gates, 16-foot farm gates, for $100. Well, I was going to take this auger and my tractor up there and put some posts in the ground and hang a gate over the driveway so that both of our pieces of property were secure. So I didn't want to just do that because technically the driveway belongs to the man that has the house next door. It does not belong to me. Although I have tried to buy the property from him. Well, long story short, I call him up and I say, hey man, how do you feel about putting a gate up over the driveway so our stuff's secure? I don't want no gate. Well, but anybody can go up there at any time and just rip us off. I don't want no damn gate. Oh man, come on, dude, what's the problem? So he gets all pissy with me, and now I'm paying for it. He's not living there. Anybody can go take anything they want of his or mine at this point. It just seems to me like a gate's not a bad idea. Well, he gets all pissy and starts bitching at me, and right before he hangs the phone up on me, he starts this shit about my property is my property and his property is his property, and he don't need anybody telling him what to do on his property and this, that, and the other. When all the truth of the matter is, all I'm trying to do is secure both of our pieces of property and clean up the messes that he's made. Now, the next time I go up there and I do a walk around, I'm going to show you the trash that this man has been piling on my property for the past 20 years. I find, I found some hot dog wrappers that are dated from 2004 over on my property, and nobody's supposed to have lived in that property since 1995. So I wonder where that trash came from. I mean, just tons of it everywhere. So anyway, it's awful funny that my property's my property and his property's his property, but yet he's been trashing my property for 20 years. Now, I may not have owned it, but neither did he, and neither did he have the right to trash it. So, I don't know what I'm going to do about that yet. I'm thinking about some things, but we'll talk about that later. So anyway, he hangs the phone up on me, and I try calling him back and he won't answer. So I kind of let it go. My thoughts are now, okay, well, the property line goes through about a quarter of the driveway. So I got an auger. Let me go find the pin. I'll just drill a hole in the ground right there in the middle of the driveway and put a fence post up. Hell, man, there's an answer, right? I own it. You can be nice and work with me, or you can piss me off and we'll be enemies. And seeing as how he ain't got no money and I've got money, and I ain't saying I got an arm and a leg of money, but I do have the opportunity to make money. That's a $1,000 ticket right there. So that's the story there. So now that kind of left me with the problem. And the problem is, I want to be able to take my tractor up there to the property and use it. I wanted to use my tow truck buddy, have him load it up on the back of his tow truck, drive it up there, and leave it. And only have it up there and only need it because that's the only place I really need the thing. Well, now the difficulty becomes that I can't leave it there. Because the last time I seen him, his daughter and the meth head buddy of hers that showed up there, and you know the meth head, the guy that ain't got no teeth. Maybe y'all don't have meth heads where you live. I don't know. But if you see somebody that ain't got no front teeth and they're just all rotted out, you got to put a big question mark on it. And then the guy just got out of jail the night before for driving without a driver's license. Let's just add up 1, 2, 3, and there goes my brand new tractor tires if I leave this tractor up there with no way of securing it. I mean, that's $800 worth of tires and wheels, and I guarantee you that within an hour or two of me dropping this off, those would be gone. So that left me with a problem. And that problem is, how do I move this tractor back and forth? Because now to be able to use it up there, I have to move it back and forth. I cannot leave anything up there until I can secure the property somehow. So, in the fashion of what I do, I started searching Craigslist for the answer. And I found that. Not that I needed another set of wheels around here, but the problem I have with the blue truck is it's a 6-cylinder, a 4.3 liter V6. It does not have the power to tow 2,600 pound tractor back and forth, okay, plus trailer. So I found this. This is a 98 F250. I paid $700 for this truck. On Craigslist, $700. The guy said that it belonged to, originally it was a City of Beaumont's vehicle. So I drove out to Baytown on a Sunday morning and handed them, well, first off I told him I was going to come and bring some tools and make sure that the engine would crank over, because he said the starter was bad. All right, well, if the starter's bad, I can test that real quick, no problem. So I go and I test it. Sure enough, the starter's bad. I put a socket and ratchet on the crankshaft and easily turned the engine over. So I give him $700 for this truck. Sounds like a good deal to me. He got his money and I got what I needed. So I call my tow truck guy and he goes out there to Baytown on a Sunday and picks it up and brings it back to me. The next morning I put a starter on it, it fires right up, runs good. Well, when we got it off the tow truck, I noticed there was a big coolant leak. And, well, at first I thought it was the stereotypical, the plastic intake manifold gaskets like to blow out on these things and blow coolant everywhere. So I popped the intake off of it and got a set of intake gaskets, got all that done, put it back together, filled it up with coolant, and sure enough I still had a leak. What I missed was this hole right here in this pipe. Now this pipe hooks to the back of where the water pump goes, and this is a heater hose pipe, okay? It's gonna be this heater hose right here, all right? So I missed it, and I ended up having to pull the intake. All right, well, first off, nobody in town had this pipe. I had to get it off of eBay. It was 35 bucks. So with the $35 here, the $70 starter, I got right at $800 in this truck right now. Well, I think it was 30 bucks, so figured less than 850 bucks in this truck right now. So I put the new pipe in this last week, and I was able to drive it around the block and everything. And because I need to get a state inspection on it to be able to get plates, and I've already registered it in my name, it's in my name. So I need to get state inspection on it before I can get plates. In Houston, you have to get your state inspection before you can get plates. They do an emissions test. Well, I go out and I drive it, and sure enough, I got an EGR insufficient flow, even though I cleaned out the throttle body where the EGR goes in there. There's a couple of ports in there that'll get stopped up. I saw it when I had it apart and I cleaned them. I got to check and see if the EGR valve is actually working. So I got to get that fixed. But the biggest thing, the funniest thing is that it shows me that I've got a bad knock sensor. Now guess where the knock sensor is, guys? Under the intake. So I got to pull the intake off one more time. And it's kind of funny because I guess you could say I'm going to have this thing on a zipper already, because I know exactly where the bolts are and how to get it off there, no problem. But anyway, yeah, I'm going to have to fix that before I can get my state inspection. But let me show you the really cool thing this truck has. Let me turn this on. Pay attention to the sign. Attention, vehicle park lamps. lights must be on to operate liftgate. So what I found was, on our liftgate problem, is there's a circuit breaker right here. And this circuit breaker is bad. It will not retrip. So right now I've just got the wire hooked up here. Now what I found was up underneath the truck, this battery cable right there had some spots where it had been pinched, rubbed through or something, and I guarantee you it was grounding out and it's blown up that circuit breaker. So once I figured that out, and I figured out I had to have the park lamps on, my $700 truck has a lift gate. Now how's that for working with bacon? Now, when I got to throw a lawnmower or whatever in the back of the truck, we got a lift gate to do so. And that's going to make life real easy. So, that's what's going on there. Let me turn these lamps out, because I don't want to run my battery dead. So that takes care of being able to tow a tow vehicle, to be able to drag it down the road. Okay? So now I needed something to drag it on. So once again, I got on Craigslist, and actually I bought this the night before. This was a Saturday night buy, and the guy lived exactly 50 miles from my shop, and I call him up, and he just happens to be coming to Houston that night to go partying with his buddies, and they're headed to the titty bar. So he was wanting $1,300 for this trailer, and I offered him $1,000, and he drug it right over to me. Now, the only things I got problems with on it is that somehow, somewhere in its life, it's got a little janky on the tongue right here on the hitch. But I've already got a bulldog style hitch for this thing, and I'm going to cut that off, and we're going to weld a new 2-inch ball on this thing. A buddy of mine gave me a set of ramps that he had laying around, and the only other thing I got left to do to this thing is to cut that piece of angle iron off and run my ass over to the Home Depot and pick me up 8 2x10s, 16 foot long, and throw them on this trailer, and we'll be able to load up that tractor and drag it back and forth from Leggett. I've already got, it's registered in my name, and I've already got plates. And I tell you this, I looked at a lot of trailers, and there's a whole lot of trailers out there that they ain't got titles to. And when you look at the trailers, you can tell that they ain't homemade, and they're relatively new, so they would have a title for them. But what I think that is that there's a lot of those places that sell these titles that'll get you financing, and they just never finish paying on the trailer, and now they're trying to sell them without the paperwork and everything. So be careful out there if you're going to buy a trailer. Make sure you get a title, and make sure that it's got a VIN number, and that VIN number matches the paperwork, because you don't want to have a trailer without no title, because then you can't get plates. Now you got another problem. Hello, Petey Dog Geese. So anyway, that's what's going on here. Then after I changed that shaft on my tractor, I also changed the oil to the proper weight of oil in it, and came over here. My landlord gave me this Bush Hog, and it is a Bush Hog brand, and it's pretty good shape. I know it looks pretty rough, but that's just the, you know, it is what it is. But the gearbox is in really good shape, and it spins really easy. So got a Bush Hog for the tractor. I got a box blade. I got a lift arm. So yeah, that's pretty much what's going on here. Like I said, on the 54, I am pulling it inside the garage next weekend. Short of there's somebody that needs to give me $1,000 to work on their car over the weekend. I'll be working on this next weekend. Maybe even throw something on the grill to cook them up. But I got some new pins for my box blade, me and my buddy, we went back up there to Leggett, and I went on to the other side of my property, and I started digging out a driveway for myself and all, so that I can, you know, I hate having to go on somebody else's property in order to access mine. But I don't know if this guy's ever going to sell it to me, and I don't know if this guy's ever going to even move back in there. To be perfectly honest, what I'm going to end up doing, since I already know that in order for me to get power turned on at my place, I have to go through the county and get a permit for the power company to even turn the power on, which means that I need to rewire my house before I even try that, so it costs me less money. So it's going to be a day or two, but they've turned the power off on his house, and me and my buddy, we went over there and walked around his house, and we can find about 15 or 20 different discrepancies on wires hanging here, coming out of the walls wrong. You know, I would just see how that county feels about all that trash, and see how that county feels about how out of code his house is. Hell, he's only got 110 volts going to it. He doesn't even have 220. Not to mention the water line coming out of the house, drain line, and just going into the ground. Where's that going? You know? So I'm the kind of guy, I'll be nice to you if you're nice to me. And if you're not nice to me, then I'm going to try my damnedest to screw you over, just because that's the way I am. I mean, I don't mean necessarily screw him over out of, but, you know, if I got to fix my house up and make it up to code, then as far as I'm concerned, he needs to fix his house up and get it up to code, or he needs to just sell me the property and I'll tear the damn thing down. I mean, personally, I don't understand why, when somebody's trying to secure your property for you, that you're going to get pissy with them and slam the phone down. I don't get that. I mean, it was a freebie for him, and I don't know, man. I just don't appreciate somebody getting pissy with me like that. So, you know, I'll just let the county come over there and inspect his property and see if it's up to code, and whether or not they want to let him continue to be there. And I can tell you right now, you look at the size of that Monte Carlo right there, and there's a pile of plastic bottles, drinking bottles, that you get those, you know, $2.50 for, you know, 45 bottles of water. And there's a pile as big as this car sitting over there on that property, and that crap keeps washing over into my property. And I don't know, man. I'm thinking about a small claims court lawsuit against the guy, and just see what I can do to, you know, encourage him to hurry up and sell me the property so he can go on down the road and I can get on to doing the things that I want to do. I mean, I don't know what else to say. But anyway, guys, I hate to sound like I'm going to be one of those guys, but there's laws, and if I got to follow the law, then as far as I'm concerned, you got to follow the law. So anyway, guys, y'all keep rocking and a rolling and a rolling and a rocking, and I'm going to keep grinding it down. Talk to y'all next time.